So we have brachot outside Leil Mishmat. Again. Shmuel Cheskel Ben Ezra. תהיה נשמתו צור חיים. שלום יום השנה. היורצייט שלו. Okay. חזק ברוך. מועדים שמחה everyone. So continuing to learn the laws of Chol HaMoed. We learned this morning that there is certain things that we're not allowed to do on Chol HaMoed because it has some essence of Yom Tov, but it's also not a regular. It's also not like Yom Tov itself, but it has some sense of Yom Tov. Therefore, there's many things that we're not allowed to do on Yom Tov. One of the things that we're not allowed to do is to write letters, but not any letter, only letters that we call K'tav Shurit. Like if a person wants to fix a Sefer Torah, wants to write down special letters, and that's his job, like he's a sofer, and he knows how to write those letters, then that's asur because he's doing something that it's considered working on Chol HaMoed. However, the writing that we have today in English, Hebrew, all those things are permissible. And there's a question that this rabbi, Shut Min HaShamayim, there's a book, all the questions that he asks from heaven. And one of the questions he asked there is if one is allowed to write on Chol HaMoed or not. And he told him, of course you're allowed to write, and especially if you're writing Divrei Torah, because it's considered Davar Aved. What's going to happen if you're going to forget your Divrei Torah? So you have to write it down. So if not, you're going to, who knows what's going to happen later. Maybe even if you know you're not going to forget, but still, it's Divrei Torah, and it's a clear answer from heaven. So based on that, you're allowed to write down Divrei Torah. And over there mentions something very interesting. He says, even if a person had this minhag, this custom of not writing on Chol HaMoed, and now he learned this Shuvah Hashemayim, and he learned that he did this mistake, he doesn't need to make even a atara. Usually you have to you notify this vow. If a person did something for 3 times, he needs to notify the vow. Here it says, since it was a mistake, he doesn't need to make a tadedarim, and he's allowed to write down Divrei Torah, especially Divrei Torah on Chol HaMoed, because there's a profound distinction between the type of writing that we had those days and today when we read Sefer Torah, and the writing that we have today, especially if we're writing it in English. Amen.